Okay, I'm going to go over how to solve these problems with the tables in it for the absolute value on MATHia. So the first thing that we got to answer up here is the description, and we are talking about absolute value. Absolute value has the vertical bars on either side of the x value, and our curve will always look like a V. So that's how you're going to answer those questions. So then when we get down here and it says edit graphical curve. So what I recommend doing with these, and this is why we talked about how our points were transforming, was for examples like this. So our first point on that first table, we're looking at -3, +3. And then on the second table, our first point is then -7, +1. So it looks like with our x value, we went from -3 to -7. So in order to achieve that, we are going to have to hopefully not lose all of our Word document. There it is. So from going from -3 to -7, we are going to subtract 4. And then if we look at our y values, and this one's kind of more important when we're looking, so the one that we really need to look at here is that 0, 0, which is our third point, because that will be able to tell you if we are multiplying with our a value or going up or down with our d value. Because if we're multiplying, that y value is going to still be a 0. If we're adding, that y value is going to change, which in our third point now is that -4, -2. So that means we are not multiplying by anything, so we just have y -2. So whenever we go back over here to our MATHia, it's asking us to edit the graphical curve. So whenever I look at that -4 in here, I know that that means that our graph is going to shift left by 4 units. And I'm going to hit enter to double check that I'm right there, and I was. So, and then down here is the form. So remember, we had that -c inside, and our literal c value here is -4. So inside, and make sure you're inside, and if you're struggling with getting inside the absolute value bars or in front of them, use your little arrow keys on your keyboard, which I bet you we could put -4. Let's see if it takes that. It does. So, and it even changes it to that +4 for us. And then you're going to want to scroll down here, and recently transformed curve matches g of x. And g of x is our entire transformed absolute value, which it does not, because we were also supposed to move down too. So we are going to want to click no. And then it takes us kind of back to the same screen again. And at this point, it still has that -4 inside our algebraic equation right here. So it knows that we have already recognized that we're moving that left 4. So, but now we got to address that down too. So we now need to come back over here and click shift down by a unit of 2. And then when we get down here, remember, so we have plus d here, and our literal d value here is that -2. So whenever we get down here, we're going to want to get outside those absolute value bars and put -2. See, it even transferred that minus and negative back to positive, and that -2 is correct. And now we are looking at our final graph here, which is that g of x, because we went over every point value that changed. So now our answer is yes. All right. So I hope that kind of makes sense. And so, for example, if we were looking at this one and it was an a value instead of a d value when we were affecting our y point, we would still have a 0 here. It would have been -4, 0, and all of our other x values would have changed. And that's when you would have needed to look at the 2 first points as well and determine what you could multiply to get from your first y value to your second y value. All right, if y'all have any more questions, please let me know.